And against the odds, the event grows in stature and just seems to get better and better. In particular, the extra internationalism of the past 2 years has added a new dimension, and increasingly this great Australian sporting icon can lay claim to being the greatest handicap event in world racing. The VRC is to be congratulated for taking this great race and making it greater. I would like to offer my personal congratulations to this year's winning team, to Jearn, to Sheikh Al Maktoum, to Angus Gold, the racing manager, to David Hayes and to Wayne Harris. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege now to ask the Premier of Victoria, Mr. Jeff Kennett, to present the 1994 Melbourne Cup.
Mr. Chairman, members of the VRC Committee, Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, can I first of all congratulate the VRC and their staff on doing such an excellent job in putting together yet another magnificent Melbourne Cup. Importantly, to our viewers right around the world, as well as those here in Australia, some 350 million people have watched the running of this, the 1994 Melbourne Cup. It is without a doubt now one of the major racing events right around the world, and I think all that it requires now is next year to encourage an American horse to join those from the Great Britain, Ireland and Hong Kong. To the winners, we congratulate them. To all those who were fortunate enough to have a horse running, we thank them for their confidence, their investment in this very large industry here in Melbourne, and to all those associated with all horses, we thank them for their contribution. It gives me great pleasure to present the 1994 Melbourne Cup to Mr. Gold, the racing manager of Jearn.
Your Excellency, Mr. Premier, members of the committee of the VRC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, may I say what an honor it is to be here and to win this incredibly prestigious trophy today. I would like to thank the sponsors, Foster's, for their immense contribution to this race. And sponsors, as you know, play an incredibly important part in the success of racing worldwide, and their contribution should never be underestimated, and I thank them very much. I'd like to thank the chairman, Mr. David Burke, and the committee for putting on this wonderful carnival, which is truly one of the most spectacular racing carnivals in the world, on this beautiful racecourse. Sheikh Hamdan will be very honored to have won this trophy. He was lucky enough to win it some years ago with At Talak, and the trophy lives in my office in England alongside that of Nashwan, who won the English Derby. And it's truly an international race now, for which I congratulate Mr. Les Benton and the committee for all the work they've put in to encourage overseas horses, which has enormously contributed to the success of the race and to promoting Australian racing worldwide. I'd love to thank David Hayes very much and all his staff for the hard work they've put in and the enormous success and fun they've given us, both with this horse and others in the last few years. I'm delighted for Wayne Harris, and again I congratulate him enormously, a very talented and dedicated jockey who's had his bad moments, and I'm absolutely delighted that he could share in this good one with us. And finally, I would just like to thank a special man in my life who's been very kind to me and was responsible for introducing Sheikh Hamdan and his brother Sheikh Mohammed to racing in Australia. And he's been a tremendous ambassador for Australian racing in all parts of the world, as you know as well as I do. Mr. Colin Hayes, a big thanks to him and his wife Betty. And thank you all again for a marvellous day. I'm very proud and honoured to be standing here receiving the trophy for such a prestigious race. Thank you very much.
Before introducing again Mr. Kunkel to make the presentation to the winning trainer, I'd like to thank Foster's Brewing for the wonderful sponsorship they've given the Victoria Racing Club since 1986. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mr. Kunkel.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, isn't David Hayes having a great carnival? The trainer is Jeune. Congratulations.
Your Excellency, Mr. Premier, members of the committee, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I'd like to thank Foster's for sponsoring Australia's greatest race. I can't say how thrilled I am. I'm really still pinching myself, to be honest, that we've won this race. I'd like to thank Sheikh Hamdan for sending this fantastic horse out. I think he's a great horse to follow from here on in as well. I'd also like to congratulate Wayne Harris on a great ride. It was just the best ride you ever see if you watch the replay. I'd like to thank all my staff. It's a team effort, and there's a lot of quiet achievers that are just fantastic, and without them I wouldn't be here now. And also I'd like to thank my father for giving up the licence and letting me get a couple of these trophies. Thank you.
Good on you, David. He's always got a little word of mirth, and there is Colin Hayes, and a bit of a cuddle there between the two of them. And we can tell you that in your sweepstakes, if you're looking for the last place getter, was Cliveden Gale, but there is the first place getter, the big 6-year-old chestnut horse, and what a great win it was. And that's, I think you'll find it's Gold Sovereign and Cliveden Gale just about competing for last. So in your sweepstakes, it is Cliveden Gale. We've had a good check on our videotape. But there's the winner, and what a good win it was too. Emphatic. Little Paris Lane tried to get to him, but just couldn't make it, and he's all class too, Little Paris Lane. There it is, the 1994 Melbourne Cup, but in case you missed it, after the break we'll give you a full replay. Absolutely no better sight in the sporting world than that. A fantastic athlete, Jeune, big stallion, 6-year-old chestnut, and loving every minute of it. Flashing past the post with Wayne Harris, and nobody in Australia, or indeed any of you viewers around the world, if you knew the problems that young man has had, would deny him that win, Wayne Harris and Jeune. Okay, you want to see it again?
Start the night.
Welcome back to Flemington, back to earth now for race number 7, the Crown Sprint, after running of the Melbourne Cup. Great win, Pete, and I'll tell you what, Little Paris Lane tried very hard too.
He ran a wonderful race, Tim. He loomed up there, and just for a moment, Jen, I thought he might be going to make a race of it with Jeune, but the imported galloper was just too strong at the end. It was a beautiful ride by Wayne Harris.
It was, and it was a terrific ride too by Damien Oliver on the second horse. Paris Lane, the thing about him, even when Impula came up on his outside, he really did still fight on to run second, and he's a great racehorse as well.
Okay, let's quickly go through the chances in the Crown Sprint race 7. Lord Monet to be ridden by Danny Brereton.
Well, Eagle Farm, I don't think he really handled the reverse way of going up there, but he has drawn barrier 23, which is the better side of the track in this sprint race. 59.5, a little worried. 6 Elegancy, and Michael Canona's the rider. A terrific chance here, Pete. He showed a glimpse of his improvement at Werribee last start, and he's got plenty of ability, a very good chance. 7 True Identity to be ridden by Mark Miller. Well, everything went right at Geelong at his last start when he won, but I prefer the place here. Okay, and that is Elegancy, and there is True Identity number 7. So let's go on to the next of the chances, number 9, and that is Verdetto to be ridden by Damien Oliver. Well, Verdetto normally likes the drier track, so he hasn't got it here today. He's drawn outside with Damien on board, so it'll give him some sort of chance, but he'd prefer it drier. Is Wayne Harris going to have his mind on the job here on Monopolise? I probably wouldn't if I was him. But all the same, this horse has probably got a bit of a chance. It's a little unknown in the wet going, but his last three, well, you can't fault them. He's won his last three, a very good chance.
18 Strictly Ballroom, riding change here, Greg Childs, and we'll bring you up to date with some riding changes in a moment.
Well, Strictly Ballroom has been freshened up here. He gets back and he'll be getting home very strongly. I think he's got a pretty good chance.
Well, I wonder why that's happened, why the Monopolised might be late out. Do you think it might have something to do with the fact that Wayne Harris won the Melbourne Cup?
I think it might.
Okay, and the other chance, I thought, had a good each-way chance in the race, Gen number 22, Biz Lotto, to be ridden by Alf Matthews.
Yeah, she's a hard mare to catch, isn't she, Pete? But all the same, she's got plenty of ability, and if you can catch her on her day, she'll give you a run for your money.
All right, there's Monopolised and Minyama going out late to the start. Just a couple of riding changes here. In fact, a few. Number 12, Vertigo. The rider is now Kay Moses. Kay Moses on 12. 14, Bronze Legend. The rider is Jay O'Connor. 16, Minyama. The rider is P. Nucky. 18, Strictly Ballroom is Greg Childs. And 21, Starlusk. The rider is Craig Dinn. So there you have a few riding changes. And in the last, number 2, Ensign Hewitt, to be ridden by Paddy Payne. Number 7, Port Watch is Jay Cassidy, and we're waiting on riders for Let's Cut Loose and Hot to Race, and we're still trying to find out the condition of Darren Beegman after that incident at the end of the Melbourne Cup. Jen, sum it up quickly.
Yes, Pete, I like number 6, Elegancy. I think he's got a terrific chance here. He'll be coming down the outside, and that will suit him. Number 18, Strictly Ballroom to run second, and number 22, Biz Lotto to run third.
And Biz Lotto is my choice in race 7. Very hard race, Dan Maliki, and congratulations on your call of the Melbourne Cup. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much, Peter. I appreciate that. This is the 7th race. They always say for a race call that the hardest race to call on Cup Day is the one after the Cup, because, excuse me, the adrenaline has probably gone to its peak. And but nonetheless, it'll keep me honest. There's 21 in this race. Lord Monet, $8.20. Famous Nick, 18. Forgotten Ruler, 22. Spring Hill Lad, 24. Superior Arch, 55. Elegancy, $8.90. True Identity, $10.50. Another Victor, $19. Vedetto, $9.20. Feels like we're going through the Melbourne Cup field again. Daring Hombre, $24.30. Monopolised at $4.90, and the favourite for Wayne Harris. Could it be a great double for him? Vertigo, $28.20. Welshmine at $50 even. Bronze Legend, $73. Harkaway, $71. Minyama, $30. Number 17, Pompeii Lady is out. Strictly Ballroom, $23. Viminaria out. Ranch Star, $43. Starlusk, $75. Biz Lotto, $13. Mr. Scribbler, $90. And Centrefold Spread has been ripped out from the centre pages. That's race number 7 as they go to the starting gates for the second last event on Melbourne Cup Day 1994, Peter.
We'll take a break from Flemington and be back shortly with the Crown Sprint on Melbourne Cup Day of 1994.
Right on, and the gates crash back and they're off and racing. One of them has missed the start. Elegancy, something's gone wrong with Elegancy there. It's missed it hopelessly. One of the first ones out. In fact, 3/4 of the field are going directly to the outside rail. Minyama jumped out well, leads up from Vedetto. Monopolised was up there. Vertigo as well. They were followed moving into the race. Starlusk up there in the early part. Just behind those was Lord Monet, and also Spring Hill Lad was next. Elegancy missed the start badly. Forgotten Rulers over on that outside division as they come over the course proper with Famous Nick. Down on the flat side of the track, though, it's Welshmine at 2 in front of True Identity, and then came Bronze Legend behind them from Superior Arch, and then further back in the field to Ranch Star, Biz Lotto and Harkaway as they run down towards the 400 metres point. Daring Hombre up against the outside rails, the leader. It's in front, and second placing was Vedetto trying to challenge, and then came Minyama. Monopolised, just struggling for the moment. Daring Hombre, the leader. Another Victor getting through on the inside, but it's Daring Hombre in front of Vedetto and Minyama. Daring Hombre well clear from Vedetto, Minyama, and another Victor, and Daring Hombre. Daring Hombre has won it by about 4 lengths. Second, maybe Vedetto, a nose to Minyama. Then came Strictly Ballroom, which got to the post well. Vertigo, another Victor back on the rails. Famous Nick, Forgotten Ruler, Ranch Star, Biz Lotto, Welshmine, and True Identity. Then came Bronze Legend. Behind those horses was Starlusk, and then Monopolised, disappointing. Lord Monet, Elegancy. Superior Arch behind them with Starlusk. Mr. Scribbler, Harkaway, and Spring Hill Lad at the rear.
Very good win to Daring Hombre, but at the start with Elegancy, Dan, I heard someone call out just as before the gates opened, and I'm not sure if the horse was actually gone into another stall or got his head in the other stall or something. He missed the jump hopelessly, so anyone that backed Elegancy, just, you know, we'll have to look at that replay later on, but another one. They're on their outside. They just were so far in front of the other horses.
10 will be the winner, Daring Hombre, ridden by Rodney Griffiths. Now it's a photo for second and third. 9 Verdetto and 16 Minyama are the two in the photo for the minor placings. Daring Hombre $20.70 and $6.90. Now Verdetto's place dividend will be $3.40 and Minyama's place tote around $9.90, so a bit of value there. 1:08.8 was the time, and it was a pretty slick performance by Daring Hombre, backing up after the Moya Stakes, which was a Group 2 race, so really dropping in class, but it won by a country mile.
Yeah, very good win. And as we spoke, you know, when we got to the track this morning, Dan, that outside, and this horse here has just used it beautifully, comes straight down the outside rail. There's Verdetto, one off the fence, and Minyama right on the outside. You can see how far in front these horses are, except for that one right on the inside, another Victor. But we've got the start coming up here. Now this horse is about 4 from the outside, I think. It'll be a number 17 stall.
Actually,
no, sorry,
third from the outside.
Third from the outside, sorry. But missed the jump hopelessly, but I could definitely hear someone calling out they were in trouble, so whether the horse was... sometimes they get their heads in the other stall just before they jump, and that's obviously what looked like happened there.
Well, Michael Canaan rode Elegance. He hasn't had a good day compared to last year, losing a Protest Vintage Crop, perhaps disappointing, and of course Elegance missing the kick. It's a dead heat for second.
Certainly hasn't, Dan. I think he might be in a bit of strife over that Protest.
Well, David Hayes could saddle up a broomstick at the moment, Peter Donegan, and he'll probably get the money.
Yeah, I reckon you're right, and you've just looked at the time, and I did the same thing. On affected ground, he's won 1:08.8, and that's a second outside the record.
Yes, and that's unbelievable. And George Boddicker, the owner of it, bad luck in the Cup, George, but you're back a race later.
Yeah, but, of course, he had top rating in the Cup.
He had top rating, and I'm still not sure. He evidently didn't handle the ground, George, but this horse has run 1:88, so I don't know if it is an excuse.
Big drop in class here helped him today.
He loved it. I think when he didn't see those Wait for Age horses, he looked up and smiled.
Can you stop smiling?
No, I'm going to have Nakey John, no voice tomorrow, but geez, I'm going to love doing it.
Good on you, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
David Hayes, the trainer of Daring Hombre. Here's Johnny Letts out there on the track now with winning rider Rodney Griffiths.
Rodney Griffiths ride, you know, a great win, Daring Hombre. 1:08 you ran, but condolences, mate. You give away the ride on June in the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, that's right, John. Oh, well, what do you do, you know? I wasn't the only bad judge in the world, I suppose.
No, that's right, mate, but you've made a little bit of consolation with this horse. Very impressive, though, Rod, wasn't he? You went 1:08.
Yeah, he went straight to the front. Oh, he's never going to get beat, you know?
No, he travelled beautifully. He won by 4 lengths, and this horse could go on now, couldn't he?
Yeah, look, he's a very good horse, but Gary Finney said to me he's a bit better up the straight, you know, so...
Yeah, well, congratulations, Rod. You know, condolences the other one, but still you've got one in today, mate. Good luck.
Thank you.
The ups and downs of the racing game, eh? Rod Griffiths relinquishing the ride on Jeune, but some consolation there that he's won with Daring Hombre, but not much consolation, I'd imagine, if he could have ridden the Melbourne Cup winner. Now let's have a look at the start again, and we're going to have a look for Elegancy, which is on the outside, and it's arrowed. Now watch this, as Gary said, one of the riders called out, and you can see Elegancy just standing there in the stalls. And now it leaves the gate some 10 or 12 lengths behind the field, so that was the end of its chances in the race. So unfortunately for Elegancy and Michael Canaan, that was the end of their race. It was over before it had even started, really. But all honours with the winner, Daring Hombre, number 10. Second placing a dead heat between numbers 9 and 16, Verdetto and Minyama. And officially fourth was number 18, Strictly Ballroom. And fifth home was number 8, and that was another Victor. And that time is absolutely extraordinary on rain-affected ground, 1:08.8, only a second outside the record, which is held by Final Card. So there's Rod Griffiths coming back to scale after the running of race 7. We've got one to go on Melbourne Cup Day, and that is about half an hour away from us, but we'll be back to check out all the information on the Crown Sprint after this break on Network 10.
Tim, the winner paid $20.60 for the win, and the place dividend was $6.90 for Daring Hombre. Second was a dead heat. Verdetto's place dividend is $3.40. Minyama's place dividend, $9.90. Now the numbers are 10 and a dead heat between 9 and 16. 2 Quinellas, The 9 and 10 Quinella pays $57.40, and the 10 and 16 Quinella $341.70. And the only other dividend I've got is the running double, $440.80. There will be a delay with a trifecta. There's often a delay for trifectas, but there will be 2 trifectas. The margins were 4 lengths by dead heat. The time was 1:08.8. So 2 trifectas to come, and also the quadrella dividend, Tim, after race number 7. And of course, they are the Victorian Toads.
Okay, thank you, Dan. We weren't able to get those dividends up on the screen for you. We'll manage that when we can. Presentation Jockey Club plate. I don't know what there's that's young Darren Beedman too, and maybe you've got an update on what happened to Darren, because I'm not sure that we've told the viewers yet, but he looks very unsteady.
I think he just collapsed off the horse from what I can gather, Tim. We've been trying to find out officially, and the report that we got was that he was just completely exhausted and needed oxygen, but he will be okay. Darren's just coming back into the mounting yard now, and obviously I'm not going to try and bother him at this stage, but we'll find out from the ambulance guys if he is okay. Let's hope so, because that's a dreadful way to finish a Melbourne Cup.
He did have to ride 51.5 too, Pete, so he probably had to waste a little bit there.
He's finished at the other end of the scale too, Jen. You know, he's won a Melbourne Cup, and
yes,
as we said before, the ups and downs of racing. Now, there are a couple of riding changes here in the last race, and we're still waiting on a rider for number 10, Let's Cut Loose. You were just in there checking.
Yes.
Okay, we've got Paddy Payne on number 2 in the last. We've got Jimmy Cassidy on number 7, and we've got Brent Thompson now on number 12, and still waiting on a rider for 10. Now, you've done all right so far. Can you take us out on a winning note?
Well, this is one of the most important races, because if you haven't backed a winner, this is the time to get out. And
hey, it'll be important for all the people in Hong Kong too, because they're watching this today.
Will it ever? At the last race, the pools are pretty big there. Let's see if we can help them, Peter. I thought number 7 here, Port Watch. His last 2 runs, well, there's plenty of excuses for him at his last 2 runs. I think he's a likely improver here. He's a lot fitter. I thought he had a very good chance here. Number 12, Hot to Race. Well, she'll give you a run for her money, because she's a horse that'll get near the lead and will be there towards the end as well. And number 4, Belzevier, I put in a terrific run first up, and I thought he had a bit of a chance as well.
I thought Cogitate could probably win. He goes pretty well here, Jen, but it is a very difficult race. I mean, as if the Melbourne Cup wasn't hard enough, then the last 2.
That's right.
Now, we've got another change in the last. A lot of these riders in the Melbourne Cup, I think they're probably feeling the effects of all the pressure and maybe a bit of wasting. Craig Dinn goes on to number 8 in the last Sports Beat. So Craig Dinn on number 8, replacing Greg Hall in the final event. Let's check the totes on the last as they stand at the moment, with a man who's had a very long day up there. Has it been a successful one, Dan?
It has indeed, from the heart, Peter, and I think that's what counts. Spiritually, it has been. My word, it's been an experience. Flemington Race 8, from the top, Chemin de Fer is scratched. Ensign Ewan $25.20, Star Dancer $11.90, Belzevier $6.30, Cogitate $5.30, Blue Boss $20 even, Port Watch $13.10, Sports Beat $5.90, number 9 Dr. Hook $13.10, Let's Cut Loose $13.40, Social Rule $29.30, Hot to Race $11.90, Cohort $22.50, Legal Regal at $22 even, number 16 Sub Astral $44.10, T-Habit out, and Teos, horse number 18, at $44.60. So you've got about $5.30 as the favourite in the last event. So once again, and what usually is a very open day of racing, isn't it, Melbourne Cup Day? You don't really get many short-priced horses running through the afternoon, Peter?
Yeah, normally pretty hard to finish up on a winning note, Dan.
The face of the happiest man at Flemington, or certainly one of them, Wayne Harris, the jockey of Jeune, winner of the 1994 Melbourne Cup, and won in fine style too. Time for Crown Casino. Fashions on the field. Here, of course, is Michelle.
The second heat of the Fashions on the Field competition today proved just about as difficult as picking the Melbourne Cup winner. It wasn't just the 4-legged fillies getting nervy. Well, the second heat of the Fashions on the Field judging is over for another day, with the final judging on Oaks Day. but my vote went to Nicole, who won a special mention in the young contemporary wear. Nicole, congratulations. How do you feel?
Happy.
Yeah, sums it up. Just happy. Well, English
Three-star dancer Grant Cooksley is the rider here, Jen.
Yes, Grant Cooksley rode this horse last start at Caulfield, and he rode him absolutely perfectly. Gave him every chance to win, and he did. He's drawn nicely in barrier 3 here, and I thought he had an each-way chance.
Belzevir's got a lot of ability. This horse trained at Mornington to be ridden by Damien Oliver, and his run behind Scalacci at Caulfield was very good.
It was terrific, Peter. That was first up after a spell. He's going to be a lot fitter here, and the likes of Damien Oliver on board, certainly a good chance.
Number 5, Cogitate. Danny Brereton takes the ride here. Loves this track and loves this distance.
Yes, he was desperately unlucky last start at Flemington. He was held up at quite a crucial stage of the race, and he's certainly a chance in this race.
Port Watch is a 3-year-old, Jen, I remember, was not far short of top class. He ran in most of the Guineas races. Jimmy Cassidy rides here for Lee Friedman.
Yes, as you can see, he looks a treat, this horse. He went pretty hard last start at Caulfield, and he was on the outside. He didn't have all that much luck either 2 starts ago at Caulfield, so you can forgive him for those 2 runs because he's got plenty of ability. He's at very good odds too, Peter, around about 12 to 1. I thought he had a terrific chance here.
Number 8 in the final event, Sportsbeat, to be ridden by Craig Dinn. Last start 3rd at Caulfield, and prior to that had won at Morfordville in convincing fashion over 1,200 metres.
Yes, his form reads very consistent here, Peter. He settled down midfield at Caulfield and he ran on quite nicely, so he's probably got a chance here as well.
Hot to Race would probably be hard to have on its last start, Jen, but it was in the best of company at Moonee Valley, and that was in the Moir Stakes, of course, weight for age, and back to a much easier class of race here.
Yes, well, they ran a record in that race, Peter, and they went pretty quick for her there, but she's a classy sort of mare, and she's desperate for the 1,400 metres, so that is going to suit her today.
Sum it up for us, the last event on Melbourne Cup Day.
All right, good luck if you're trying to get out in the last. I like number 7, Port Watch to win from number 12, Hot to Race, and number 4, Belzevere to run 3rd.
And my selection is 5, Cogitate to beat number 4, Belzevere. I'm happy to report that Darren Beedman is okay. It was, as we suspected before, that he was just exhausted and dehydrated. The ambulance guys told me they gave him some oxygen. He went and had a few glasses of water, and he was just going to tuck into something to eat because he had nothing to eat yesterday. Oh, the glories of being a jockey. You often see that, you know, they're in the limelight, and it's supposed to be a glamorous profession, but there's a lot of hard work goes on behind the scenes.
There certainly is, especially when you're wasting. It makes it very difficult.
Okay, lucky last tape call now, and here's Dan Milliken.
Peter, Ensign Hewitt is showing $21.70 for the win. Star Dancer $12.40. Belzevere $6.20. Cogitate $5.40. So it is the favourite, Cogitate. Blue Boss $20.30. Port Watch $10. Sportsbeat $6.40. Dr. Hook from New Zealand $14. Let's Cut Loose $16.50. Social Rule $28.40. Hot to Race $11.80. Cohort $22.60. Legal Regal at $20.60. 15 out, 16 Sub Astral, 42.60, and Taos is horse number 18, and its win dividend for the moment, Pete, is $31.50.
And that is for the final event on the program, and the boys are up on board now, and they're about to go to the stalls for the running of this event. It'll start way over the far side of the track at the 1,400 metre mark, the furthermost point away from us, and then they'll scamper down probably 200 or 300 metres before they start turning. And then, of course, as we've mentioned so many times, that 450-metre run. And it is a big field here with 3 scratchings, a field of 15, so they'll need to occupy positions. And inside barriers are a distinct advantage here at the 1,400. As they leave the mounting enclosure to go to the stalls, let's check out what's been happening in the betting ring with Terry Kennedy.
Peter Hunt punters a hardy lot. They're still here. Nobody has left the course. They're out to get out of trouble in the very last race. The lucky last, they're hoping it will prove. Star Dancer has been easy in the market. Belzevere pretty solid at each way odds. Cogitate is also in the market. Port Watch, there's been no money for Port Watch at the moment. The Lee Friedman trained galloper. Sportsbeat, very talented. It's in the market. There's been a good old-fashioned plonk, though, on Hot to Race. The punters think it'll take up a good position and will be hard to run down. Let's hope they're right. God give it strength.
Well, I think we know who Terry Kennedy's on, and there's Belzevere still waiting on the rider Damien Oliver to come out. So whilst he's waiting, we'll go away and take a commercial break and be back with the running of the lucky last on Melbourne Cup Day of 1994 after this. Also, the people have come from all over the world to see our great race today. If ever you've seen the Grand National Steeplechase in England, you may have heard the name of Julian Wilson, one of the commentators there, and I'm happy to say that from the BBC, Julian has come over to witness his first Melbourne Cup. Julian, what are your impressions of our great day?
Peter, it's been a fantastic day. I mean, it's like a sort of cross between the Grand Prix, the Grand National, and a sort of fancy dress